The pit walls are empty. The garages are still, but not for long.
Daytona 1963. The cars line up for Speedweeks, but one Chevrolet stands apart. Under its hood sits something the crowd hasn't seen before. Chevrolet's BANS 427 mystery motor, no brochures, no street versions, just raw experimental power. As engines roar, the difference is immediate. Junior Johnson's Chevrolet rockets down the straightaway, hitting speeds that make Ford's 427 FE and Chrysler's Max Wedge look outdated overnight. The stopwatch tells the story. Over 175 miles per hour, a leap ahead of the competition. Word spreads fast. Ford officials walk pit row, watching. Chrysler men whisper. Everyone knows what this means. Chevrolet has built an engine that can tilt the balance of stock car racing in one weekend. But Nascar is watching too. This wasn't a production motor. It wasn't sitting in dealer showrooms. It was a secret project, designed for speed and nothing else. Rivals demand answers. Protests fly before the race even ends. The engine had just shaken the foundation of NASCAR. One race, one engine, one ban. The early 1960s were a war under the hood. Ford rolled out its 406, then the 427 FE big inch, high-revving power plants that turned their galaxies into weapons on the track. Chrysler wasn't far behind with its brutal Max Wedge, a drag strip monster adapted for NASCAR ovals. Both gave their team speed, durability, and bragging rights. Chevrolet, meanwhile, was stuck with the 409. It had torque, it had presence, but it was heavy. With limited airflow and shallow breathing at high RPMs, at Daytona and Charlotte, Chevys could hang for a while. But on the long stretches, Ford and Chrysler engines simply pulled away. Inside, Chevrolet engineers knew the truth. Without a new engine, the brand's racing program would collapse. Quietly, behind closed doors, they began drawing up something different. Bigger bore, shorter stroke, better breathing heads, lighter weight. It was an answer to Ford's dominance and Chrysler's brute force. This project wouldn't be a simple revision. It would be something completely new. The mystery motor was coming. In secret workshops, Chevrolet built an engine nobody outside had ever seen. Chevrolet engineers knew the 409's time was up. To win, they needed more than tweaks. They needed a revolution. The result was an experimental design whispered about inside the company, and later nicknamed the mystery motor. Unlike the 409, this was no warmed-over version of an old block. Engineers created a new architecture from the ground up. The target was simple: beat Ford's 427 FE on both horsepower and durability, while shedding the weight that slowed Chevrolet cars on superspeedways. The project was hidden. With no production model in showrooms and no press releases, internally it was treated as a top-secret racing weapon. Even seasoned mechanics working for Chevrolet's race teams only knew fragments of its design until it arrived. The first public glimpse came at the 1963 Daytona Speedweeks. Chevrolet arrived with a fleet of cars fitted with the new engine. Spectators had no idea what sat under the hood, but insiders immediately recognized they were looking at something entirely different. An engine built only for speed. The mystery motor had stepped into the spotlight. What Chevrolet revealed at Daytona wasn't just new. It was mechanical warfare. The mystery motor displaced 427 cubic inches, achieving through a 4.31-inch bore and a 3.65-inch stroke. This over-square design allowed the engine to rev faster than the long-stroke 409 it replaced. It wasn't just about size, it was about breathing. Chevrolet designed hemispherical combustion chambers with canted valves. Angling the intake and exhaust gave the heads superior airflow, earning them the nickname Porcupine Heads. This layout became the blueprint for every future Chevrolet big block. Another surprise was the oiling system. NASCAR teams were used to wet sump lubrication, but the mystery motor used a dry sump system, cutting windage, reducing oil starvation, and keeping the engine alive at high RPMs. It was a pure racing solution, unheard of for a so-called stock motor. On paper, Chevrolet rated it at 430 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. In reality, dyno polls showed well over 500 horsepower. Proof came on the track. Junior Johnson's Chevrolet hit 175 miles per hour at Daytona. In 1963, the number was unthinkable, and Chevy's rivals were furious. Daytona timing's clocks told the truth. Chevrolet had changed racing balance overnight. When the mystery motor hit the track, the results were immediate. Junior Johnson's Chevrolet tore through qualifying, putting down speeds no Ford or Chrysler could match. Lap after lap, the stopwatch proved it. Chevy's new 427 was a weapon, and the others had nothing close. Fans cheered the sudden jump in performance, but rival teams weren't celebrating. Ford executives marched through the garages, their faces tight. Chrysler's brass didn't bother to hide their frustration. It was obvious. Chevrolet had built an engine that could dominate NASCAR in one stroke. Whispers turned into protests. Rivals insisted the engine wasn't legal. They pointed to the rulebook. Stock cars had to run engines available in production cars. As Johnson kept posting blistering speeds, the pressure mounted on NASCAR. The sanctioning body had a choice: either let Chevrolet rewrite racing with an experimental engine, or shut it down before the season even began. And NASCAR was not the one to stay silent. Behind closed doors, NASCAR made its choice. Chevrolet's secret weapon was finished. The rulebook was clear. For an engine to run in NASCAR, at least 500 production cars had to be built with it. Ford and Chrysler followed that rule, selling their 427s and Max Wedges through dealerships. Chevrolet hadn't. The 427 mystery motor existed only in race garages and engineering labs. After Daytona, protests flooded in. Rivals demanded enforcement, and NASCAR couldn't ignore the pressure. They moved quickly, declaring the mystery motor illegal on the grounds that it wasn't a true production engine. The announcement came down hard. No 500 cars, no racing. Chevrolet had no time to respond. The engine was brand new, never offered to the public, and producing street versions would take months. The decision effectively killed the program overnight. What could have been Chevrolet's defining moment in NASCAR history ended after a single race. The engine that shocked Daytona was erased from competition before it had a chance to dominate. But the design wasn't really. Oh no, it was just forced underground, waiting for its next move. So while NASCAR ban killed the program, the engine's DNA survived everywhere. This meant that the mystery motor story didn't end at Daytona. Its architecture became the foundation for Chevrolet's Mark IV Big Block, released in 1965. That series gave the world the 396, the production 427, and later, the 454. Now these weren't engines that would dominate both the street and the strip for decades. The key breakthrough was the porcupine head design. Those canted valves, once experimental, became standard across Chevrolet's big blocks. They gave Chevy the airflow and high RPM stability that transformed its reputation in racing and muscle cars. Without the mystery motor, the big block era wouldn't look the same. And look how aesthetically pleasing it still is. Only a handful of original mystery motors were ever built, and even fewer survived. Today they are prized by collectors as the ultimate outlaw Chevy engine. Rare, powerful, and carrying the aura of being banned after a single race. To enthusiasts, it isn't just another V8. It's the engine that forced NASCAR to rewrite its rules, the one too advanced for its own time. The forbidden 427 remains one of Chevrolet's most legendary creations. But did NASCAR ban the 427 mystery motor to keep rules fair, or to keep Chevrolet from redefining history? Let us know in the comments what you think.